Welcome everybody to Tree File System to Searchable File. Do you all remember in the last video how many times I told you not to run those commands against a massive file server? Well, in this video, we're gonna cover a bunch of commands that you do want to run against a huge file server. In this video, we're gonna go through various dir walk and file listing commands that will allow an operator to list out all the files that may exist on a specific file server, directory, hard drive, whatever. And then the goal will be to compress that data, download it back to your attack machine, and then you can just search it. Now, I want you to put this all into perspective. Let's pretend you're looking at a file server, and let's say there's hundreds of thousands of files. There's two specific routes you could go. You could just start poking at that file server, looking around the files, maybe do some recursive dirs over the whole thing. But then every single recursive dir you do is data going over the wire. It's login events for the specific user you're using. It can get really loud. Now, the second way to do it would be to do one directory listing over the whole thing, copy all the output to a file, compress it, download it, and then you can just pull it onto your attack machine and just grep over it as many times as you want without actually having any of that data go over the wire to the target server over and over and over. Now, typically we'll do this, we'll get our text file, we'll put it on a couple attack boxes, me and some colleagues will just start searching through it, basically building a shopping list of all of our favorite files. Then we'll hop on our remote access tool and just go download all of those files. So let's run through some of those commands in this section. I do want to remind you all, in the scenario video in this section, we're actually going to be doing this against the file server that's in the CyberInk domain. However, in this video, we're going to keep it all to specific user folders, just so I can better show you all how it works, what the output looks like in a little bit smaller scale. So let's jump right in. I've got Rogue Arena up right here. One of the first commands we're going to run is this tree.com file. Kind of funny, a little bit of a throwback here. Windows has some type of binary format, .com files. So tree is actually a pretty old utility that's been out there for a while. So let's see what this looks like when we run it against a machine. Now, I do need to open up a shell, and I'm gonna go ahead and jump into a command prompt here just so we can better be prepared. Let's go to Phyllis Snyder. And then we're gonna actually go to her desktop. I wanna try to run this where we can actually type it out, we can look through it without blowing up our callback here. So I'm gonna run it against her desktop, but you're gonna get a great idea of how it nests folders, files, the type of data that's available, and then in the scenario video, we'll run it against a big file share. So we have our tree.com right here. Let's do our paste clipboard. And you'll see tree.com actually nests folders with these little symbols here. This will make parsing the output a little tricky, right? So if you have a bunch of folders and files deep and nested, you're gonna have to kind of trace it back to find that full path that's not easily apparent. So if you're writing some type of parsing tool, just keep that in mind. It is possible to write a parser, and I almost guarantee parsers probably already exist on GitHub if you just go do some searching. However, it is really easy, to open Notepad++ and just start searching file names and keywords. It's just a little bit more work to go back and find that full path. Now in the RTFM, you'll see I just copied the beginning. You can give it a target here. So we're gonna be running this in our scenario where we actually run it against a file server. And then you'll see here the caret actually outputs it to a file. Again, covered in the scenario video, go check it out. The next one, dirwhack S, is actually a little easier to assemble that full path like I mentioned before. So let's go ahead and grab this right here. I'm gonna run it, paste clipboard. It's gonna go through, list out all the files that are in the desktop and any folders underneath that. So you can see here, we have the desktop, and then it does attempt to give you a little bit more of that full path here. So you can quickly see, oh, this is a file I really like. You just scroll up and see where it says directory of, put those two things together, and that's the full path to the file to check out. So a little bit easier to parse through and read through than tree. However, it does fill it up a lot more with data. Every folder is gonna have this own chunk. So if you can, I would recommend building some type of parser with Python to build these out to full paths so you can build your shopping list, go in and download the files. 4 files is awesome. The whole goal with this one is to try to build a nice full path for us so we don't have to build any type of parser. We're gonna paste this in. Let me fix the file path. We'll do C, users, Phyllis Snyder, desktop, right here, fire it off. And as you can see, a lot better full path. If you output this all to a file with this right angle out to silverlight1.log, you're gonna find once you compress it and download it, on the other side, you can Control F all you want, you can grep through it, and you'll have the full path here to look through. It definitely saves a lot of time. And you've heard me say a few times, compress the file, expand the file, and I wanna show you how to do that right here. So we're on the desktop, let's do a dir. Let's go ahead, let's go into, I think I have a test folder, yep, we'll go into test. Do another dir. Let's compress this text file. So we're gonna do makecab myfile.text, and then we have to output it as, what we wanna call it. The cool thing is you can do any extension you want. So I wouldn't recommend necessarily outputting this on the user's desktop. In the scenario, we're gonna do proper tradecraft, put it out to C Windows temp, that sort of thing. But for here, you're just gonna put it out to whatever you wanna call it. So we'll call it myfile.dat. You can see right here, flushing current folder. Let's do our dir. Awesome, you see our myfile.dat. Kind of funny, it's a little bit bigger than the text file. If you've done compression before, you know if you have a very, very, very small file, just by adding compression, it's gonna make it bigger. However, if this file was gigabytes in size, typically text will compress really well. So I would say expect about 1/10 of the original size, which is awesome because you are downloading this over the customer network. The last thing you want to do is download a huge file, right? But if it's 50 megabytes, a lot better off. So make sure you're compressing files if you can. Now looking over here, you can see expand, and then you just give it the compressed zip file name and then back out to what you want to call it. So let's go ahead, let's get this going. So we'll do expand myfile.dat, and then I'm just gonna call it my new file.text. See how it works here, expanding files complete, dir. And then sure enough, my new file, I can even type it if we wanna make sure it didn't get corrupt. Perfect. Looks great. Again, we're gonna be doing all this in our scenario against an actual file server. We're gonna be blending in files, using proper tradecraft. I just wanted to give you all a solid run through of the different kind of tree commands so you can select which one you wanna use in a mission. And then I wanted to show you how to compress them and then expand them out to their original state on your attack box. So hopefully this was useful. I hope you can use it in your own red team operations. Click through the next one, we'll see you there.